In 2017, several women came forward and accused popular stand-up comedian Louis C.K. of sexual misconduct. According to the comedian, the accusations led to him losing tens of millions of dollars in the span of hours as numerous business deals came crashing down around him. The public figure subsequently withdrew from the spotlight, though he has slowly been making his way back into the public eye with a worldwide tour and the release of a brand new stand-up comedy special on his own website. Many are balking at the comedian's return, while plenty others are accepting him back with open arms. The comedian's continued popularity is making many wonder if cancel culture is actually as big of an issue as it's cracked up to be. Join Trender as Louis C.K. defies cancel culture with a new comedy special. Back in 2017, a number of women came out with allegations against famed comedian Louis C.K., claiming that he had been engaging in sexual misconduct with female stand-up comedians for several years backstage. The comedian was one of the most popular in the industry at the time, with successful cable series Louis bringing him to more mainstream prominence than ever before. The allegations came out as a result of the #MeToo movement, and the impact that they had on the comedian's career was staggering. According to Louis C.K., the numerous allegations of sexual misconduct caused him to lose nearly $40 million within the span of a few hours. Two of the first accusers to come out against Louis C.K. were fledgling female comedians named Dana Goodman and Julia Wolof. Apparently, these two were performing at a festival in Aspen, Colorado that Louis C.K. was headlining. The two low-level female comedians were understandably excited when big-name comedian Louis C.K. asked them if they wanted to hang out after the show. They accepted the invitation, but received a nasty surprise upon showing up to the star's room. When they got there, Louis C.K. immediately asked him if he could undress. Shocked and confused, the two female comedians began laughing, believing that the more popular comedian was playing a prank. However, it turns out that Louis wasn't joking. According to Dana and Julia, they were paralyzed. They were too shocked by what was going on to speak up and put an end to it, and they also didn't want to disappoint the much more popular comedian. It became apparent that what Louis C.K. wanted was to fully undress and masturbate in front of the two female comedians, something that inevitably occurred. The next day, the two women began telling their story to as many people as possible, feeling that it was one of the more unusual things that had ever happened to them. After word started getting around about the tale, they were contacted by Louis C.K.'s manager and asked to stop talking about the story or else. Unwilling to be silenced, the two female comedians eventually came forward publicly. As the story of Louis C.K.'s strange and problematic masturbation ritual began to spread around the entertainment industry, it became apparent that Dana and Julia weren't the only female comedians that had ever had to deal with these kinds of things from the established comedic star. Soon afterwards, a number of other women came forward with their own tales. One woman was a crew member on The Chris Rock Show, on which Louis C.K. was part of the creative team. This woman alleged that the same thing that happened to Dana and Julia happened to her repeatedly during her time working on the series. According to her, she may have agreed to let Louis C.K. masturbate in front of her at the time, but she has retroactively come to consider the comedian's bizarre actions an abuse of power. The previously mentioned crew member on The Chris Rock Show chose to remain nameless, but a few other accusers besides Dana and Julia have allowed themselves to be named. Comedian Rebecca Corey is another figure that has come forward with accusations against Louis C.K., claiming that the two were working on a television pilot together in 2005 when Louis C.K. tried to pull the same stunt. Rebecca Corey had the strength to turn the male comedian down, and she later shared the story with producers Courtney Cox and David Arquette. However, no negative repercussions came Louis C.K.'s way as a result of the incident. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit the like button to show your support. Also, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to be among the first to know when more awesome Trender videos are on their way. The fifth woman to come out with accusations against comedian Louis C.K. was a comedian by the name of Abby Shackner. According to Abby, she invited Louis C.K. to one of her shows in 2003. The comedian apparently showed up to the performance only to later attempt similar things to what had happened with the aforementioned accusers. Although Louis C.K. wasn't officially canceled until 2017, the comedian's odd sexual habits had been an open secret for several years. The story of Dana and Julia was first revealed to the public in a 2012 piece published by Gawker, though it didn't draw much attention upon its original publication. Years later, Gawker ran another piece alleging that Louis C.K. had done the same thing to two other female comedians at another festival. Though nothing much came of this piece either. Roseanne Barr had also offhandedly mentioned previously that there were rumors that Louis C.K. was into some strange things. Besides the rampant nature of those rumors surrounding Louis C.K., there's also the fact that much of the stand-up performer's comedy had been derived from material about him masturbating. Louis C.K. has always liked to be self-depreciative when it comes to his comedy, and it seems that the warning signs were there about the comedian's odd sexual proclivities from the get-go. Much of Louis C.K.'s comedy in the past has been about his chronic masturbation habits and the stress of having to deal with his perverted thoughts, which are two things that certainly came together to fuel the aforementioned masturbation incidents. When the allegations against Louis C.K. finally started making public waves in 2017, it led to a great deal of consequences for the venerated comedian. Louis C.K. had a film slated for release in 2017 by the name of I Love You Daddy, and the release of the film was postponed in the wake of the allegations. These allegations were brought to more prominence than ever by a piece in the New York Times that was published that year. Following the publication of that piece, Louis C.K. canceled an appearance he was planned to make on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. More importantly, the comedian's hit cable show Louis was canceled, and he was dropped from his management team. After the fallout from the accusations and the subsequent piece in the New York Times, Louis C.K. withdrew from the public eye for a number of years. However, he returned in 2021 with the announcement of a world tour and has recently released a brand new stand-up comedy special through his own website. Louis C.K.'s tour is currently underway, and it appears to be going incredibly well. Also, the release of the special was met with general fanfare, though there are plenty of people who don't want to see the comedian return. One such person is fellow comedian Tig Notaro, who used to consider Louis C.K. to be a good friend. Besides being the creator and the lead on the series Louis C.K. was also an executive producer on the series One Mississippi, which was a starring vehicle for comedian Tig Notaro. The series started airing in 2015. Following Louis' cancellation in 2017, Tig Notaro chose to put the program to an end because she no longer wanted to be associated with the male comedian. In the years since, Tig Notaro has expressed that she knows many female comedians that were victims of Louis C.K.'s behavior, and she feels that the male comedian still has a long ways to go before he should be welcomed back into the spotlight. Louis C.K.'s current world tour kicked off in August of 2021, and dates are slated through 2022. The comedian was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album in 2022, though he ended up losing to Tiffany Haddish. His latest comedy special was advertised during the broadcast of Saturday Night Live, indicating that the formerly esteemed comedian is slowly regaining the respect of his peers. The recent special is named Sorry, and seems to lean into the controversy the comedian has received as of late. Of course, the name Sorry can be seen as slightly tongue-in-cheek, though Louis C.K. won't likely be dabbling in the same behaviors that saw him canceled anytime in the near future. In the wake of Louis C.K.'s return to the spotlight, many are questioning whether cancel culture is really quite as powerful as others consider it to be. While there are plenty of figures that have been canceled and stayed canceled, it seems that Louis C.K. has somehow found a way to defy cancel culture. The comedian has a powerful comrade in fellow comedian Dave Chappelle, who has similarly defied cancel culture and who has also served as a defender of Louis C.K. However, Dave Chappelle was never accused of sexual misconduct. So long as Louis C.K. keeps his clothes on, he may have a future in the industry. It seems that the public is slowly warming up to the idea of letting controversial comedian Louis C.K. regain his fame in the wake of his 2017 cancellation. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know that previously canceled comedian Louis C.K. just released a brand new stand-up special, and that he's currently touring the world? As always, like this video to show your support, and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be among the first to know when more awesome trender videos are on their way.